let's get this sucker loaded up, ready to rip. Got our usuals rear ready to go. As we jump on with Project Purple, looking to set the first clean sector of the qualifying session. We are a little bit, sorry, first clean lap, 1:42.469. We are about 5 minutes in, so it did take them a minute to get up to that point, but laps are now starting to go live on the leaderboard. We see 142, 145, 145, and the race is on. Grandmaster Matt, the one to watch for A-Class, trying to catch up to Project Purple. Don't see anyone else from that category making an appearance just yet. Do see Phantasm looking to start coming from behind towards Stanley Daniel, a little bit further up the grid, so that'll be an interesting one to watch. And then C-Class, we got a close battle with Slapping. Frederick Damn Sub. Don't see Frederick here yet today, so that could be a... Oh, no, never mind. There's Frederick up at the top of the leaderboard. So we do have both of those, and Cads and St. Dido also looking to continue their fight in the class. Kyle's safely in D class. So we'll see if maybe they get a little bit of company. 20 degrees on the track for the first half of qualifying. You can see that is the killer corner right there, and I believe that's actually going to negate Project Purple's lap as they look for improvements this time around. But I don't think they're going to see it. It says a 45-minute race. I do believe there is a pit stop that is going to be required, as is tradition with our longer ones, and it is the final race of the GT40 stretch of the season. And we did actually see a clean lap, so that must have been right on the edge of those track limits, as they came around awfully close, but with enough room to spare. We'll jump on now with Cats, who seems to be in a position to set a clean one. Did they finish strong in Sector 3? They did, and that'll send them up to a 146.777. Worth noting, these standings you're looking at only have 2 out of the 5 total drops that these guys will see throughout the season. So anything can still happen for them. We did see actually Big Island Boy just finish the lap. Up that 148, actually 148.9 on the last lap, but 148.551 overall. Since we got a moment or two to kill, sort of, let's take a look. And Big Dean Energy seems to be going in for a lap. There's only one way to watch that lap at the Glen. Get the old school VHS cam up once more and just see how it looks, ripping through some of the most classic sections of the track. No, it's a modern layout and a modern car, but man, it still looks just so good. With that little VHS filter heading on through. Big Dean Energy now, that last sector in the green, trying to keep up that momentum. Currently about a 10th up on their time, in at least fighting range of Grandmaster Matt, but they have to find, well, now upwards of a second, as they have a little bit of a struggle through the end of Sector 2, and are looking to try and make something happen here as it closes out. So currently we have 13 on the grid, plenty of time for a few more to join. Things are open at this stage in the race as we get ready for the next one. Cars are a little loud, he said. Let's see what we got there. These cars just are loud as all hell. Shimmy our way back to normal. And turn down the engines. Yeah, see, I don't want to turn them down too much. They sound nice. Might just be my voice that's got to get turned up slightly. We'll see if maybe that helps things out. And Kind of go from there. We'll raise it just a little bit. Try that just a touch. Help the volume finds its way somewhere in the middle. Problem is, when we go to some of these further views on the drone cam or get in front of the car, it just gets deadly silent. Now you're left with a very loud version of my voice, but that's just to account for some of those peaks. I mean, listen to those engines rip as we go through. We're currently still on with Big Dean Energy, but they're drawing our attention to Project Purple, who's trying to finish up a 141, and they do, but just 300 shy of Phantasm. Currently holds the top qualifying time with a 141.503, as opposed to Project Purple's attempt with a 141.531. At this stage of the race, we'll see what everybody has going on. Or sorry, this stage of the qualifying, we're going to start to see a little bit more pushing here, pushing there, see how it goes. I'm just curious to see how this works out. Looks like time of day is set to 12. Is that correct? Let's take a look. Let's take a look. Event details. Time of day. Qualifying did start at 12, but at this stage in, it should be a little bit further along. So I'm going to say that's a stagnant billboard, but still pretty cool. Still pretty cool. We check out Continental Tire. And wow, they got billboards for days at the Glen. We might have to take a look at some of these. Oh, and I'm sure that is for the track designer himself. Just a little tribute to Kaylee the puppy. Which I don't even think you'd see that if you were driving along without looking. But kind of neat to have that kind of a hidden Easter egg feel to some of it. And now I want to look behind all of it. Yep, see, look, there's another little tribute to Kaylee back there. Is this a Speedway? Safety clean. We're going exploring. We got a little bit of time here since we're early on in the session. Let's see we can figure out what some of these Easter eggs they got are. A little Toyota section there. Obviously, you've got all the trailers. Everything that a little bit more well known around here. Nice little Sunoco sign. Jack Daniels. New Era. That's right for a New York track. That sounds spot on. As we continue to work our way through, looking for those Easter eggs, looking to see what the Glen's got to offer. Look at that elevation, the way that it just drops, raises all throughout the track. I mean, right here you can see the slopes and the valleys. You've got down here, you've got coming down here. It makes it very sharp, very easy to go. Or very tough, sorry, to have it go around it. Relatively impressive. I think we found the Easter egg. I say it that way because it seems like there was just one. I was getting a little too overeager. But still cool nonetheless. Same with a couple little Kunos cars there. Hey, we got one of those. Transit van. Not currently in today's race, but we do have one that we've used. For now, we jump back on with Deadly Daniel, and we'll take a look at his lap as he tries to break into the 42s, trying to keep Grandmaster Matt and Big Dean Energy away. Let's also take a little peek at the livery downloader, make sure. Apologies, but yep, we do have all of our liveries set up and ready to go. Okay, so Deadly Daniel now coming through turn 6. They did lose a little bit of time after the bus stop. That is going to be where we see a lot of our racers struggle here today. Trying to keep a little distance on the drone cam to some of these cars until we get the volume settled in, ready to go. But as we learned last week, these GT40s are just loud and proud. The only thing we can do is just stay in front of them. So we see Deadly Daniel sticking much closer to the track limits around turn 9. And who is that there? Is that Grandmaster Matt? I think pushing it out a little bit wide. I want to take a look at the way some of the differences in the cars take these final corners. As you can see, some really trying to hang out to it. This one using the curve a little bit more. That's going to be Bullet, currently in P6. Jump back over here, see another disciplined racer, this time in Kyle. And last but not least, we've got Kaz pushing it right along the line and trying to make it work. Now Kaz has been in a strong position to have some good finishes throughout the GT3 season. I know there's been a little bit of frustrations building with the lack of execution to some of those performances, but this, I think, is going to be Kaz's best chance. It's a 45-minute race that is all about consistency. And Kaz runs into a little bit of issues up front with luck in those early moments in turn 1 and turn 2. And I do mean luck. It's not a skill thing at that stage in the game. So we'll see what they're able to do. Project Purple does take back the top spot now with a 141.241, as Phantasm only able to shave off a 10th or 2 at the moment. Deadly Daniel, though, still looking for a way through. And I know we got a little bit of a gap in racers after this one, but I do see a large grouping that'll eventually be heading down the straightaway. So let's take a look at how some of these guys take on the bus stop chicane. These GT40s are very aerodynamic cars, but notorious for that straight line speed, not so much the handling through the corners. So we'll have to see what they can do around this section here. And we do see a beautiful line through the chicane from Frederick Amps up. A nice, wow, that one was actually speedy from Project Purple. Big Dean Energy along the same. And they're basically making it 2 straight lines, right? With a very, very light corner. It's all about your entry into the bus stop. Because once you have the speed, once you have the grip, that car will carry you through. It's more that first turn than anything else. Ooh, that's going to be an interesting line there for Phantasm. Very, very tight through, very, very curb heavy. So we'll see how that affects things. As we take a look now, we did have the change in weather just a moment ago. Our track's now gone up to 22 degrees, which is going to help these guys a little bit. And give them a little bit more juice to the tires, a little bit more speed. There is one more weather change approaching, but we'll see what they can do as time goes on. About 13 minutes remaining. The way everybody's lapping, there's plenty of time. You're getting, at the very least, 6 laps in. So far, we're seeing only Project Purple taking full advantage of the qualifying session. So they've got 9 laps in, whereas everybody else is currently on 7 or 6. We do have Grandmaster Matt with 8, Big Island Boy with 8. So people trying to get things dialed in, but it doesn't make it easy. And we do want to see what's on the start line. Start Watkins International. You know, I don't know that I've noticed all of little bells and whistles on this track. I usually don't broadcast the Watkins weekends because it is one of my favorites to take a drive on, but at this stage in the server, we are looking to get a little bit more broadcast work done and try and give you guys a reason to swing back out onto the grid, see yourselves in action, see the battles, see the key moments. And the AI is great, but it unfortunately hasn't lent itself to that very well. Do you think we're gonna turn these down just a nutsack here? Not a lot, just a little bit. And I think that versus the shifting in the voice hopefully will make up for it, but only one way to tell. we have reached the yapping stages of the qualifying sessions. There's only 11 minutes left. We're kind of getting a sense of what everybody has to offer. The only reason we do these half-hour qualifyings during the longer races is so that they can test full fuel versus low fuel. A lot of these guys haven't started to think about those pit times yet. It kind of turns qualifying into a more awake practice session. In a perfect world, we'd be able to do FP1, FP2, that kind of thing, but unfortunately, it just has not come to fruition yet. Doesn't mean that it's not gonna. We're on with St. Dido as Project Purple is already starting a new lap on the heater. St. Dido not able to see improvement that time around. Project Purple currently up. Phantasm currently up. But we'll jump over to Project Purple, who is still slightly up on their personal best through the ends of Sector 2. Only seeing a couple hundredths improvement, but that's all they need. A full 10 puts them right back into P1 as those guys are getting closer and closer to what we would imagine the top threshold is. They struggle a little bit in Sector 2. We take things wide through turn 8. Find themselves hammering on the gas into the final 3 corners of the track. Can they find just a little bit more? At the very least, this is what they need to get back into that 141.1, getting into a competitive spot. And a little brush up with the wall right at the end is going to take away those hopes. That's not going to be the lap for Project Purple. Definitely not the one that they were looking for. We'll jump over to Big Island Boy, currently 1.9 seconds off. It's going to be over 1.9 seconds off their pace, I believe. This seems to be an outlap. But we'll take a look and see what they can do. St. Dido momentarily popping off of the grid just to get a refresh, see what needs to be done to the car, what needs to be done to the rig as they re-enter. Only a 7km/h wind at the moment, so not really enough to affect these cars. That doesn't mean that's what the wind's going to be like for the race, though. They are going to have to watch and see what they can make of it. As we see Phantasm go with a 141.019, so it's the closest one to breaking that 141 marker yet. We do see that gap to Deadly Daniel and Grandmaster, who haven't quite figured out a way into the 32s yet, or the 42s yet. And a little slip up by Big Island Boy is going to make things a little tough going out onto the track. Speaking of going out to the track, let's take a little ride along here on the bonnet cam. Makes it feel like a nice little classic Need for Speed game, ripping through Watkins. You can see Frederick amps up just on an outlap, but let's see how that how that bus stop looks. And the answer is scary. That you can see the wiggle of the car just trying to kill him, essentially, as he gets moving. But doesn't really hold the same on the drone cam, I will say. Just there's something weird about a drone cam in VHS view, but that bonnet cam, and honestly the bumper cam itself just makes it feel like you're in an old Need for Speed game, as you are weaving all over the place and able to keep things moving. So good on Frederick for keeping it afloat. As we head on back to Old Faithful, Phantasm with the fastest Sector 3 of the night, a 39.3, will earn them the 140, the marker that these guys have been chasing so hard. Project Purple pushing a little bit too hard, just goes wide in Sector 1. Going to have to go all the way around to reset, so we'll see where that one ends up. Actually, it's like a 40-second Sector 1, so that might just be an outlap for them at this stage. So we'll jump over as they're slowly getting closer and closer to the end here. I see working their way towards the end of towards the end of Sector 2. and now has one harrowing challenge ahead of them. They need to find almost 5/10 to Phantasm ahead, which is not an easy task. Not entirely positive where they're going to do it, or actually, yeah, 4/10. And if you're going to have a mistake, that's where you want to have it. So you got time to reset, gain your speed, gain your traction back, and go. You can take a look at how close some of the other parts of the grid are, though. P3 down to P6, all separated by less than a second. P7 and P8 also harrowingly close together. St. Dido and Seraph, only 0.02 of a second between them. And not to mention Kyle's clinging on to the edge of that 4-second back group. Cats and Big Island Boy have a little bit to go. But first, the man on a mission, Project Purple, looking to find a way up in front of Phantasm. Knows these track limits pretty well, so I have a sneaky suspicion that is the limit that we just saw. As he works his way up towards a large amount of traffic. You can actually see 4 cars down the grid. The question is, what will come through the bus stop chicane as they get closer and closer? A little bit of a draft could help, but a little bit of chaos is going to hurt, and that run-in with the dust, I think, is going to lose all hopes. Once they're racing in these low 41s, there is nothing you can do to come back from even the smallest of mistakes when you're trying to catch up to Phantasm. So, like I said, going to be seeing the advantage to these drafting opportunities, but we'll need to find a way by as one car spins. And Big Dean Energy and Project Purple find themselves alongside for the shootout. Project Purple knows that this is not an improvement lap, doesn't want to take away from Dean, so is going to kind of pull aside, give a few minutes to reset. Let's move back up, though, to Big Dean Energy and see where they come up with the lap. Currently, I don't see any signs on their delta, which could mean it's an out lap. Hard to, it's definitely an out lap, as we see a 101 for the sector 1, which is typically a 20-something second lap. So this will actually be a freshie from the 66 car, trying to work their way through. Oh, we got a little Josh Fulton joining the action here. 5 minutes remaining, and they are hitting the grid running. It's going to be Watkins. Is probably one of Josh's better tracks that we see him in. Definitely one that he's raced enough to where he can jump in and just has to learn the car, not necessarily the track. So that'll be nice for him. I think Josh has put in a decent amount of laps in this GT40. I don't know if they were in the Le Mans race that we had it in, but they certainly, or he certainly tested it out enough to know where we're at. And I can't get over this Phantasm versus Project Purple thing going on, though. Phantasm doing a great job at taking away some of these points. And if they keep this up, I think Phantasm could end up in A-class by the end of the season. They've already been moving through the ranks very, very well. Kyle's looking for some company in that D-class, and we've got a couple of rookies that have been battling it out very strongly. Safety rating that's currently holding them back. So we'll have to see what comes from that. Does look like Josh is out on track, and we did just give a little bit of broadcaster's curse to Seraph, so let's join them for the out lap in also the number 68 car. I mean, are there no liveries? Am I going crazy? There's a couple liveries here. With the anti-British food, injury, porcelain. There's enough that everybody could be doing a little something here, a little something there, but seems like they are choosing not to. Or we just don't see it. That's always a possibility. Have run into that before. Grandmaster Matt throwing their setup into the mix, trying to give Fulton a little something to hang on to. But looks like Fulton's just going to try something that they had up their sleeve. Don't see them pulling into the pits to change that setup, which is very dangerous. I see. With the amount of time remaining, they don't want to risk not being able to set a lap. So that's where we see the strategy coming into play. It is a 45-minute race, so we might see Josh still try and use a different setup for the actual race than they are currently carrying through qualifying. But this speed is just to try and get them at least inside the top 10. Knowing Josh, I think he's going to try his hardest to get involved in that 143 fight we've got going between P4 and P8. So just wants to be in a starting position to join that fight off the rip. Phantasm with more improvements. This time putting up a 38.066 in Sector 2. Definitely the fastest time that we've seen through there. Hopefully it's one that they can carry out through Sector 3 with that enormous pace. As they are still slightly up on their time. Josh Fulton now coming around a couple of final corners. They have managed to keep it clean, so this will at least be a time on the board. We don't have enough of a sense of what this time is going to look like until they get around a little bit further here. As we head down the straightaway, it does look like it's going to be something competitive, just shy of the 43 squad with a 144.064, but makes it through with enough time to be competitive and to get one more attempt in on the board. We're going to jump over real quick though to Seraph Afid, who looked like they had an opportunity to put up a hot lap. We'll see how their exit is through the toe, but I don't believe that they're going to see much improvement on this particular lap. We'll also take a peek at St. Dido, who manages to be 5 seconds up on their personal best. Either there's a big cut that we have not seen come into play yet, or the delta's a little bit messed up in the bottom left of the screen. We'll have to see where they actually end up following turn 11. As Phantasm doesn't quit, a 37.9 through Sector 2. That's got to be just completely balls to the wall on the chicane as St. Dido goes through with a 144.291, which I know they're going to be excited about. Josh Fulton taking that 44.064 to the bank. As we look around the track, it doesn't look like Slappin is in a position for improvement. Project Purple unable to find improvement right at the very end, but Phantasm, the man who doesn't quit, might put up a fastest time on the last lap of overtime, and they do with a 39.2 Sector 3. That's a Purple Sector 2, Purple Sector 3, just missing Project Purple speed through Sector 1. Could have probably been a 40, it might have been a 40.5 as their potential best with that Sector 1, but still great laps all around. Great to see how everybody's faring. I do see Kyle's trying to squeeze their way into one final lap, see if they can find the improvement they are looking for. And the Glen says no. Unfortunately, Watkins will do that to you. So as we see just about nobody settling in to liveries or anything like that, we are going to try and don the anti-British foods in a second here, just so we can look at what we've got. No British food. I want you to stop eating beans and toast. I like that. Look at that. It's found its way inside the intake, so that's always cool. It's just about beans and toast. It is. This whole livery is just about beans and toast. Who made this? Alright, well, shots have been fired at the EU boys. I don't know who made this, but I'm not upset about it. That's actually hilarious. Good on whoever. Let's see. The Death Liquid one I know we've seen before. Is that the Scrub Daddy Motorsport? It is. That's got to be Rev 174. Oh, it actually says Rev 174. So, yep, that makes sense. Grandmaster Matt's got the Lich King. Absolute classic. The Ford Chip Ganas. Fix or repair daily. Yeah, LL Ford. Okay, yeah, that's definitely a custom one. I don't think that one made its way in. Oh, God. You guys crack me up. We lost little F1 Easter egg there. Wow. 10 out of 10. I am absolutely pleased with how those guys managed to shape up on the grid. As far as our actual grid goes, we've got 1 minute remaining. Let's take us from top to bottom. We've got Phantasm, Project Purple, Grandmaster Matt, Deadly Daniel, Slappin', Frederick Amps Up, Big Dean Energy, Bullet, Josh Bolton, Saint Dido, Serapha Fid, Kyles, Cads, and Big Island Boy rounding us out at the back. 14 racers lined up and ready to go. Josh Bolton finding himself in P9, as he points out, with only 4 minutes of drive time on the track and the car. We will see how that works out. I think it's going to be exciting for us. I can't promise it's going to be exciting for him, as we are looking at a field of blue. So this is going to be interesting to keep tabs of who we've got where, but I will certainly do my best. Looks like some guys are thinking about some fuel conservation, as this is a 45-minute race. The lights are on and the countdown begins. We see someone, I think, Slappin', getting off to a rough start. I don't think they put it in gears. We go straight to a side-by-side into turn 1. Wow! That is a huge dive in from Slappin' to try and make up for that. Everybody managing to at least keep things on the track, keep things moving. Seeing a little bit of contact in the back between Cads and Bullet. This time between Serapha Fid and Saint Dido, but they all managed to stay straight and stay mobile for now. But we're heading up on the chicane, and this giant drafting train is going to make things interesting. Right now, we see all the differences in lines coming to fruition as Grandmaster Matt goes wide off the track, trying to avoid contact. Going to be starting from the back end of the grid in these 45 minutes. I don't think anyone here practiced with the full fuel, and that's where they're really going to be feeling some things. See a little bit of lockups going up into the laces, as we still see Phantasm starting to walk away. Project Purple now in a little bit of a fighting position, has to get back in front of Slappin' if they want to get by. We're currently on with Big Island Boy. Oh, and the broadcaster's curse strikes, so that's going to give Matt something to chase. We're going to jump a little bit further ahead to Kyle's, Bullet, and Cads, all working their way into the heel, and you can just see a series of lockoffs as you hear between the cacophony of Ford engines going crazy through 8, 9, and 10. So all these little mistakes here, little mistakes there would typically cost them a lot, but everybody is running full fuel, what seems to be for the first time in this session. So it's a lot of avoidance and recovery. I do see a little bit further up the way, though, there's a tight battle going on with Bullet and Cads. Bullet going to try and get the move in and done by turn 1. Cad's going to find himself on a little bit of a cleaner line, and that's going to send Bullet sideways, hoping to stay out of everybody's way. And they currently do. Ooh, okay, that worked out a little bit better than I was expecting it to. Project Purple now catching a draft in towards the chicane. This is going to be the first of chances, and they managed to hold their lines clean, but Project has to get a little creative and not creative enough. This is going to be a tricky spot to try and come back from once more. I would have gone straight. That way you're kind of turning yourself around in the back half, but he's going to go for a quick 360 into the dirt and get moving. As, these are big struggles. So Project Purple now finding themselves pretty far down the line. That's a 25-second gap to the man in front. That is something that a good pit stop strategy can maybe help you out with, but emphasis on maybe, as they've got 11 seconds to build up to Grandmaster Matt. I'm going to jump on now with Big Dean Energy. Josh Fulton climbed his way up to P5 as he gets more and more comfortable with the car and the track. This is going to be a load off of Phantasm's shoulders as they are already 3 seconds away and counting. Josh Fulton trying to use that little wall run in from by Frederick Ames up to get ahead again, and he does. Now into P4 with only 4 minutes of practice before the race. So that is a huge way to start the event. Big Dean Energy just hanging on with Josh, trying to see what they can make of those opportunities, as we see Big Island Boy looking for their chance a little bit further back. Oh, as we see a dive come in from Frederick Dance up, has to get a little bit heavier on the brakes to avoid the contact. And Big Dean Energy able to get by Josh Fulton with a much cleaner entrance into the S's. And now it has become a drafting battle. Big Dean Energy going to have to decide defensive or not, but Josh actually is going to lay off the gas just a little and try and give him the opportunity to make a clean pass later on. I do hear just ahead of them Slappin seems to have lost the position to Deadly Daniel. Judging by the tire marks we saw on the grass, I'm going to say they went spinning off just a little bit, as Grandmaster Matt no longer in a direct position to attack. We're just trying to pick out some of the guys that are close enough for a fight, but right now it really comes down to these guys here. Josh Fulton, Big Dean, and Slappin all in it together for the win, or rather the final podium spot. You can see Deadly Daniels just trying to do his thing, be consistent further up. And there's a banner going on up here. Obviously I gotta see what that is. Keep calm and use real 3D software. Okay, that's pretty cool. A little bit of blender. Oh, as we see running over the wall by, I think that is Sarafa Fit. A little run, or just shy of a runner with the wall, as we didn't actually see anything change on the live timing. We're going to do this. I'm going to set you up with Kaz and Frederick's battle on the left-hand side of the screen. We're going to jump back over to Josh, who's watching Dino and Slappin fight for that position and hoping to pick up the remnants. It does look like Dean's now well glued within that drafting range. So this will be tight into the chicane for both of those racers when Dean comes alongside through the S's. We'll see just who wins that dogfight in a moment's time. Cad's getting closer and closer to Frederick Ames up. So as we get these guys through the chicane, and big lockup and an awkward line from Slappin makes things very interesting for the two cars trying to get around at speed. And it looks like Kaz did have a little bit of a spin trying to keep things controlled. So Kaz now will have to regroup, find another opportunity to make their way through the grid. Again, 38 minutes remaining out of a 45-minute race, so plenty of time for something to go right, go wrong, or anything in between. We'll jump back to the Slappin cam though, because Slappin did lose 2 positions and is going to try and figure something to get that back. Knows there's a lot of time left in the race, knows they have different braking points, and is a little bit more impatient than we expected for this stage of the game. We're going to put the St. Dido cam up now, as Dido was passed by Grandmaster Matt, but it doesn't look like they're going to give that one up too easily. And they are the one trying to stay ahead of Cats. Phantasm with a 141.8. Important to remember these guys are probably at about maybe 3/4 fuel at this point. So still a very, very heavy car to only be 1 second off the pace. I do think they all went for the medium tires, which we can check out if I remember what the tire button is. C for compound? It was not C for compound. We'll find out. But speaking of find out, let's find out how the battle goes a little bit further up the way. Josh Fulton lining himself up once more for a possible dive, and gets a little bit too close to that curb, slamming on the brakes to try and stay out of the wall. Unfortunately, just a little brush up. He's going to try and slip in real quick before St. Dido gets back on the track and is able to get moving right as the Dido comes along. So we'll see those two fight as the grid slowly starts to separate. Project Purple has managed to gain back a little bit of time here. Now 30 seconds away from the man up front. Oh, and a little contact with Cads, but keeps going. So not too concerned with the contact with the racer in front. It was a difference in braking point, but I think right now determination is the key word for Project Purple. They just want to get into a position to attack once we get to these waves of pit stops. St. Dido now sticking within that 1 second range. So Josh Fulton, his tires are going to be roaring. Fulton's, not Dido. We'll take a look at how the track and the temperatures have changed throughout this lap. We are now at 23 degrees on the track, so a slight increase, but not too different from the qualifying session. Again, worth noting that Josh was, oh, wow, I'm not sure what happened there, but Seraph kind of just let that one hanging for Grandmaster to go by. I think that was a little bit more than a difference in speed and possibly some slowly worn tires as they're just trying to get out of the way, shifted it to reverse to just try and stay away from the grid, and they are trying to just get back into the runoff. So nice awareness there, just trying to stay out of the way, give themselves an opportunity to move forward where they can. Bullet less than a second away from Cads, who again the car is struggling a little bit, might even have a little bit of aero damage at this stage, given the speeds of some of the collisions we've seen. Just a couple awkward lines here and there really can go a long way. As you can see now, Bullet within that half a second range. If he can keep it here, or relatively close to, he is going to be a danger through that back straightaway. You see Josh Fulton may have had a spin as we see them lose the position to Dido, possibly only momentarily, as the two race a little bit further ahead. Fulton and Dido right at the end of this section here. It looks like Dido has a little bit of a spin, giving Fulton the P7 back and a 5 or 6 second gap to the men up front. That's a difficult one. That's a lot of time to have to go through. We do see Slappin either going for an early pit or I think Slappin has just spun out towards the pit lane as we see them just moving by. A little bit of wall contact here from Bullet trying to make the move, and we definitely see some differences in pit strategies. So that's made things interesting. So Slappin, St. Dido, Cads, and Seraph all head into the pits only about 12 minutes in. Now, I'm not entirely positive what the fuel is looking like at this stage in the race, but they're making it look like this is the time to go. And Phantasm is making it look like a Sunday stroll, currently 15 seconds ahead of the pack. Worth noting, Project Purple's personal best is a 142.7, where Phantasm is currently sitting with a 141.6. So that is an extreme difference in pace for two racers who were pretty close together in qualifying. It seems like Phantasm really has been able to come alive in this GT40. Remember, just as you get comfortable in the car, we change it. These guys are going to be sitting down with a new GT3 next week, or new GT Series car next week, and that will change everything in theory. Now we'll look a little bit further back. Project Purple actually seems to be getting closer and closer to some of these mid-fight battles. I don't see anybody really challenging Deadly Daniel at this stage. Big Dean Energy is going to be the last one with a chance to do so. And we are seeing that's the last lap. There we go. Best lap times here. So only 2 guys to break that 143 are Project Purple and Phantasm. That's going to make things tough for Josh Fulton at this stage in the game. 9 kilometers an hour on the track. Barely enough to really make any differences, but Project Purple has to decide. I think getting a little bit of a flashback to how some of these like dirty air moments through the bus stop can go, and decides to wait for another opportunity to pass. Frederick amps up a little bit further ahead, looking for a way to Grandmaster Matt, who's now finds themselves in P4. Everybody from P9 up has not yet pit. Slappin is the front runner of those who went in early and already finds themselves with an opportunity to catch up to Kyle as we see both racers go by. Frederick amps up at the moment. And Phantasm now, as the weight sheds just getting stronger and stronger. We do see everybody going by the blue flag car of, I want to say, Big Island Boy. As these battles just continue. Little wiggle from Josh Fulton there, and that is going to take him out of the hump we were watching. Jump back over to Slappin and see, can they get past Kyle's as the first car into the pits, and show that there is a method to the madness. After this, they've got 20 seconds of clean air. Oh, and a little bit of contact with a car that just seemed to lose it a little. Nothing malicious there. It's going to cost them a tenth or two, but nothing crazy as they keep moving. Frederick amps up into the pits this lap. We'll see what that does for Slappin, as they are going to be looking to come out in front. They were doing pretty strong on their first stint. Can they keep that pace? Can they keep the energy? As we see Frederick amps up, still has not left the pit box, and is going for, I'm assuming, another attempt at full fuel. So far, the early pit has worked out for Slappin. We'll see if anybody else is able to take advantage of it. I do see St. Dido is going to cut it a little bit close, and is just barely not able to get through. So we'll jump back over to the battle between these two, as Kyle's is within that drafting range, and a strong chicane could put him right back in front of Slappin, and it's actually a mistake from Slappin that is going to help Kyle's out here and let Kyle's maintain the P8. Kyle still needs to pit, but this is going to help him out a little bit here and give him the opportunity to burn a little bit more time. And really, this is going to help the guys in front. When they finally come in for the pits, it'll be a question of where they come out. And the further Kyle can keep these early pit stops backed up, the better it's going to be for those guys in front. So we'll see what happens there. Looking around, and I don't see any of these front runners going in just yet. So I don't know if it was a difference in strategy or what the full situation was with some of those early waves. Maybe they realized that they were going to need to pit no matter what, so they tried to get a little here, get a little there. Nothing we haven't seen before, as Seraph's starting to close in on Cads, as Cads has a little runner with the wall, and we'll make that one nice and easy for Seraph. And we'll try and stick with the action going on right here in the technical battle for P8, as we see Cads disconnect following the spin. They are going to probably take this week as a dropped race at that point. Always disappointing to see when a racer can't make it to the end, but things do happen. Sometimes the car just needs to be retired. We've all been there. So Slappin now into the chicane, still trying to find a way through to Kyle, and that was not the answer, as they lose a ton of time. I think they saw Kaz having a little bit of a moment and just got worried that they were going to get caught up in the same thing, but now finds themselves 3 seconds away, and that will continue to back up those early pit stoppers. let's jump on with the man in front, Phantasm, who's all the way up at the chicane. So he's getting closer and closer to lapping a lot of these back markers that we were just watching. I see he's already made his way past Big Island Boy and Seraph, starting to get closer and closer to St. Dido. You can hear the tires screeching just a little bit, but I think they're able to make it through. So it does look like our pit stop counter is unfortunately a little bit broken. We're not going to be able to see exactly what we got there, but you can see where the grid lies in relation to this man here. Project Purple has only lost 6 seconds since we last checked in, so they're still doing a pretty good job of holding their own. They're now within 3 seconds of Grandmaster Matt ahead, and Josh Fulton, with only 4 minutes of practice, still clinging into that top 6 for the time being. Again, we've got a whole series of pit stops to go. It's a little bit unclear as to where everyone's going to come out. We're watching this man right here for the cue to see when he dives in, and he will be staying out for a little bit longer. Even at this stage in the game, I feel like what's it gonna hurt to throw a little bit of old school cam on? We know we're not missing any crazy moments. I'm keeping an eye on the live timings, making sure that there's no big battles happening, but why not a little mid-race VHS action as we switch to the old school bonnet cam for a flyer coming from Phantasm here. Could be the last lap before the pits. We don't know at this time. We do know this has been 11 laps of pure domination and power, not stepping above that 143 mark since the opening lap, if I understand correctly, which is, that is incredible. That is just pure consistency, pure pace. Josh Fulton with a 143.028 on that last lap. So starting to get that grind back just a little bit. We'll see if they are able to catch up to anybody here, able to make the most of a moment. I do see that they had dropped down to P7, and it seems like following a moment in Sector 2. So they might have had a little bit of a spin through the chicane, as I was just talking about how great their last lap was, and that gave Bullet the opportunity to get by. But the two of them are not incredibly coached just yet, as we see a racer dive into the pit. That's going to be Kyle's 32. And is this the lap where Phantasm tries to change the tone? It is. So on that note, we'll swing things back to the old-fashioned way and see if the rest of our lead cars follow suit. Now, Project Purple is, like I said, the competitor to Phantasm, the one that we are expecting to see get and stay in a competitive position. Phantasm now going in for their first pit stop. We'll see where they come out, as this is, it seems to be the lap for everybody I see. Ooh, wow, that was a bold call from Project Purple, but I think they knew as soon as they hit the pits that they would be coasted, and goes in for the dive. So gets the pass on Grandmaster Matt into the pit lane. We'll see, do they both have clean entrances into the box? I don't see a mistake from either one of them. Who comes out on top is the question at hand. So Phantasm's already made his way out. I believe that is Big Island Boy unlapping himself from a couple of these guys back here, which I'm sure is going to feel pretty nice. We see a couple of cars getting ready to leave, everybody fueled up and ripping to go. Seems Big Dean Energy, Deadly Daniel, and Grandmaster Matt gets back ahead. So I'm not sure what the situation was there. Just a slight variation in the pit stop timings. I don't know if one went for fresh tires and one didn't. It's a small change. That's still going to put Project Purple within a dangerous area, and he's going to go right for it. He's not messing around, wants to get this position taken back, so the next spot he's got to worry about is just Deadly Daniel. Takes the curb very hard, but manages to use that full fuel to his advantage and power on through. So with the pace that we've seen out of him, I think that's going to be a pretty safe spot for him to be in. Frederick Ham's up, now catching up to St. Dido. These two did pit earlier. They weren't a part of that big wave. But I think the pressure ends up getting to Frederick Amps up. They are not able to make the move. And we'll need to get moving before Josh Fulton comes back around. Does seem like that early pit stop strategy worked out pretty well for slapping St. Dido and Frederick. They've moved pretty far up the grid. Josh Fulton now sitting in P9, wondering where the hell that came from. We're going to jump up to Frederick Dido now St. Dido trying to catch up to Slappin, who's been struggling with some consistency issues this race. As we keep Kyle's in the corner of the screen, we're actually going to jump to that. As I saw it coming, a little bit of bump drafting and moving between Kyle's and Bullet. Now, I don't know if that was the case of lag spikes. We've certainly seen it before with Bullet's car, but that one seemed like just the reaction of a dead mouse. I don't know the nice way to say that. I had a little bit of time to brake, to move, to go around, and just kind of hoped that the situation would clear up ahead, which is always a dangerous way to approach any race. Now, we do see a wide moment there from Slappin, who is going to try and get the rejoin in safely and ends up right back behind St. Dido. The pace that Slappin's got does outmatch St. Dido at this time. It all comes down to the consistency and a little bit of the luck. We'll see if Slappin can make something happen through a chicane. This is where he struggles with that consistency the most. Just the way that car rides those curves, but able to power on through, keep some good pace into turn 5, and I think the speed through the outer loop is what's really going to help move things along. We see Big Island Boy now coming out of the pits, their second pit stop with 20 minutes still remaining, so they might be on a 3-stopper strategy at this stage. Only time will tell. It speaks volumes that they are 30 seconds back from the lead car. 41 seconds back from the lead. Now we're going to say 30 seconds back. It seems like that delta is just getting all over the place as they have Taz and find themselves miles ahead and laps ahead of the rest of the grid. A little bit of running with the wall for St. Dido is going to open up that door for Slappin that he was hoping he'd see. And he manages to make the move past, or make a move past in turn 10. But I don't know if he'll be able to keep that. So just for where we're at, St. Dido has been in the 45-44s. That last lap, these guys separated by only 2/10. And it seems like Slappin has been playing with a barrage of bad luck here and bad luck there. Speaking of bad luck here and bad luck there, it looks like Big Dean Energy has a moment through the bus stop that's not only going to give the advantage to Deadly Daniel, but going to give the advantage to a couple of racers on the grid. It seems Grandmaster Matt trying to avoid it, ends up losing the spot to Project Purple, but will at least give Big Dean Energy a little bit of company through this next section. Josh Fulton 10 seconds back from Frederick Amps up, who is one of the ones who pit early, so he's on an alternate pit strategy. So we don't quite know where that time difference is going to come into play later on. Still watching this battle between St. Dido and Slappin. Dido doing a really good job of keeping the pressure on, just trying to make things interesting as they get a little bit further through the grid, and that is the moment that he was waiting for. A little spin from Slappin, who's going to have to try and get a little bit creative to get back on track before a few more cars get by. Thankfully, that was Frederick Amps up, so only one position lost there, but they do have, I believe, Josh Fulton barreling down the track, seeing their opportunity to make something happen. Josh is on a much different pit stop strategy than the 3 guys ahead of him. And now we'll find out if that is worth it. A little running with the wall again for Slappin. Going to just keep letting Josh eat up that time closer and closer. And we know this is a man who likes to chase. When he finally gets the opportunity to go after somebody, he goes after it. Flappin deciding that they don't want to waste any more time, don't want to risk having 2 extended laps and get all the damage done in one. Fill her up all the way and see what you can do to the end. I do think 17 minutes is pretty possible, given when we saw the last round of stops. I'm sorry, the first round of stops for the front runners was about 6 minutes ago. So you're cutting it close with the overtime lap, but it's enough for a hope and a prayer. Sarafa Fid going into the pits seems to feel the same way, as we do see Kyle's having a little bit of a battle with someone. Well, he's keeping things entertaining. Ooh, as that one caused a little bit of a spin for someone. Big Island Boy. So Big Island Boy was trying to find a way around, trying to find their way to unlap themselves, but unfortunately just couldn't get by Kyle. It was a little entertaining battle for a second or two there. Flappin is now the one on the back foot. This time trying to catch up to the number 10 spot and crank their way into the top 10 ahead. I have been watching Project Purple in the leaderboard climb their way up. I will say their top pace, this would definitely be a move we would see pretty shortly. But on that last lap, they were only separated by 0.02 of a second between themselves and Deadly Daniel. Oh, and a little spin from Slappin'. Just a little bit of an overcorrection around that corner sends them to a very tricky spot to come back from. Josh Fulton now getting past St. Dido. He dove in for their pit. So this is where that staying out for a little longer is going to come into play. Josh will be able to take a much shorter pit stop, as will a bunch of the guys in front, since they'll have probably only about like 3 or 4 laps of fuel that they'll have to put in, as opposed to the 8 or 9 that we've seen before. We did also see the way these guys are driving the car. They pushed it to 11, so there is a chance that we just don't see a second pit stop from some of them. It's going to be a little bit tight, and Phantasm, out of anybody, could do it. Phantasm is currently blue flagging Bullet, and not even looking for a way by, just kind of enjoying having some company for once, just keeping it close, trying to look for that open door, and manages eventually to force their way through after a nice entertaining stint, or a nice entertaining couple of corners with one of the back markers. At this point in the race, you kind of have to feel for Phantasm, and same with Project Purple, as I think he was getting excited to have that battle with Deadly Daniel, but Daniel pulls into the pits and is going to try and make things interesting for the guys behind. We have got racers all over the place right now, so massive gaps up and down the leaderboard. Very hard to tell where anybody is as far as real battles for position. With the exception of these guys, I guess our backmarkers are pretty close together, Seraph and Slappin', and it doesn't seem like Seraph is going to be giving up on the chase anytime soon. And, well, we've seen what Slappin's luck has been today. We are keeping an eye to see if anyone dives into the pits, but so far everybody's been staying out. So right now it is just St. Dido and Deadly Daniel who have taken a stop. Sorry, St. Dido, Slappin', and Seraph, as well as Deadly Daniel, who have taken an alternate strategy for what should be the last pit stop. I really think these guys are going to try and shorten it as much as possible. I think they're going to hang out there until they have absolutely no fuel left, and that's when we'll see them start to dive in. So I think we still have 3 laps left, maybe even 4, until we see some of these lead cars head back in. the meantime, let's jump over to Project Purple, slowly trying to work the way up to Big Island Boy. And wow, did they just completely come off the throttle there? That was interesting. I don't think we've ever heard someone coast that hard into a corner before. But Project Purple definitely on their coasting stages now, trying to think about what one less stop would do for them, as I think that's the new plan for them, is just to see how close they can get. Sorry, I'm just yawning all over the place, but trying to see how close they can get to not needing that fuel stop. We do see Big Island Boy having a little bit of a spin, and is now going to open up a little bit of a draft to some of the guys behind, which I don't think Project Purple is going to be thrilled about, as we do know they want to fuel save as much as possible. They're going to need that clean air in front of them to try and make something happen. Big Island Boy rounding the last corner here at the Glen, as we just see gaps. I mean, it does look like Phantasm has managed to lap almost the entire grid. Let's take a look at what they can do with Josh Fulton as they get closer and closer. And of course, we're going to put on the classic cam for a classic pass here in the GT40s. This has been one of the tougher cars for people to adapt to. We have had some feedback on it as far as it is incredibly fun to drive, but it wants to kill you at any given moment. 2 weeks is not enough time to really settle in and find a comfort level, but you know, as I say that, 4 minutes is enough for Josh Fulton to find himself fighting within the top 10 on an alternate pit stop strategy, as we see Frederick amps up go in and trying to work their way up to Deadly Daniel in front. So now in P6 with a 4-minute practice session. That, you know, it could be worse for the man, the myth, the legend. We did adopt this camera because we were hoping to see some action here in the early moments, but I don't think we are going to see it between these two drivers. We're going to stop that for a second because I believe I saw... I see. So Seraph is not blue flag because they're the ones trying to catch up, but hey, we do have Kyle's here looking for a way in towards Frederick amps up. We'll join them for the chicane for just a minute. See how pass looks in the Bonacam. As you can see, the squirreliness of these cars coming into effect around the bus stop chicane, as we still don't see any new pit stoppers. Oh, and that is going to be the broadcast curse at play. On that note, we'll leave a little bit of breathing room for Kyle's and jump over back to Phantasm, who's looking for a way back through another member of the grid. So just trying to lap his way through the whole grid where they can. Big Island Boy looks like not their night today, ends up withdrawing from the race, as we see Josh Fulton staying out, not trying to leave too early, just trying to hold back Phantasm as long as they can. As we only have 3 racers remaining in the general comp. This will be Frederick amps up, Phantasm, and Project Purple currently. Phantasm, though, this is going to be the chance. Josh knows this is not his race, knows what this car is capable of into the chicane, and just lets it happen. Doesn't really want to mess around with that too much. As we continue watching, so 12 racers left on the grid, a couple of big gaps throughout here, as we see Phantasm will likely still need to pit. Project Purple will likely still need to pit, but does seem to be trying to fuel save. Grandmaster Matt, probably going to need one. Big Dean Energy, probably going to need one. Josh Fulton and Bullet, probably going to need one. And the rest of the grid on interesting strategies to see if they can get away with 9. Kyle might need one. That one I'd say is a little bit closer to a 50-50. And Josh Fulton finds themselves... Could that be right? 60 seconds away from Deadly Daniel? I mean, Daniel is working their way through the top of the S's right now. So that is certainly a possibility. And Daniel did already do a second stop. I guess it comes down to, did Daniel get enough fuel to finish it off? I believe they did. As Phantasm heads into the pits 1 lap earlier than we thought we would see it, but with enough time to just have to take 3 laps of fuel, little splash, and a little dash. Now, we're taking a look a little bit further back here as Seraph and Slappin have managed to get a little closer together. Both racers did pit on the same lap earlier in the event, so fuel saving or not fuel saving, they're going to try and stick together here. Give us a little something to watch in the final moments of the race. Remember, this was a 45-minute event. We are getting closer and closer to the tail end here, down to the final 6 minutes remaining. Of course, things are going to get a little bit spread out, but we're also getting close to the point where we will see what happens with these pit stops. Project Purple able to cut that lead down to 23 seconds without the pit stop currently. So if they can keep it on the track and not have to worry about it, something could happen in their favor. It does seem like Josh Fulton, capable of a 143, racing in the high 145s, might be going for that alternate strategy as well. They're going to see it doesn't really make you up that much time compared to what it is that you had to fuel save. I don't know. I can't tell you exactly what the plan is. I just can tell you from the looks of the live timings, it doesn't look like something that's working. So we'll see what Seraph can pull up on Slappin, who really just needs to be ahead of Frederick Amps up for this event. Doesn't seem like they'll have the opportunity to do so. Bullet heading into the pits. They are only one on this lap to sneak in. 4 minutes and 24 seconds remaining with Phantasm. Take a look at my live timers. There you are. Phantasm heading into the S's right now. So I think we'll see probably 3 laps, including the overtime lap. But we will find out shortly as Bullet ends up pulling out just ahead of Seraph and close enough to Slappin to make things interesting. We do not know and we do not think these guys are going to need to pit either one of them again. So we'll see what happens a little bit further up the grid. Big Dean Energy pulls into the pits. Deadly Daniel stays out. Grandmaster stays out. Project Purple stays out. Fulton working his way around turns 9, 10, and 11 on his own. He's going to have to make a decision. Do you pit early and try and undercut Deadly, Grandmaster, and Project? Or do you stick to this strategy and hope for the best? As Fulton rounds the final turn, we do have eyes on Seraph. Bullet and Slappin have a 3-man battle for P9, and Josh will hang it out for at least one more lap, and we'll kind of go from there. Now, Grandmaster Matt is relatively close to Project Purple, 3.41 seconds away, and with pretty much nobody behind them to worry about. a little bit of a run-in with the grass by Bullet is going to open up a door for Seraph that he didn't think was going to open at this stage of the race. That's going to force Bullet to go down to the inside and Seraph to take a long lunge, which he was prepared for, but still brakes early to try and force a mistake rather than force themselves into contact. Gotta say, I do respect the choice there. Grandmaster Matt now pulling into the pits. We'll see. I don't believe Deadly Daniel is going to have to. Big Dean Energy already has. So really, it comes down to Project Purple and Josh Fulton. Where do they come out when this is all said and done? I do see Frederick Gans up well within striking distance of St. Dido ahead. I know St. Dido looking to keep as many points on the board as they can get. Same goes for Frederick, though, as they need to stay not only ahead of Slapton, but ahead of potentially St. Dido, Cads, and Kyles. All racers in the rookie class, but getting better and better every week. Seraph Fid still looking for that move down in P11. They are rounding corners to get ready for one of the final laps of the race. We'll see what comes strong. That's actually Phantasm there, so if they can stay behind Phantasm, it will be only one more lap of the race. Right now, Seraph, left-hand side of your screen, still looking for a move. Frederick amps up, gets the move past Dido, and we actually have a little bit of an interesting moment further ahead. Big Dean Energy looks like had a possible mistake as they were in front of Grandmaster Matt, now finds himself behind by about a second and needing to get creative. Speaking of creative, Seraph, unfortunately, with a big spin out of turn 1, has some cars coming, so needs to get moving. Is that a danger for position? It is not, but still never a good idea to stand still in the middle of a race. So I think they will be fighting their best to get by. St. Dido looking for this move on Frederick amps up because they end up in the D class. They don't want to lose easy points for a situation like this. So just every little spot matters, especially the ones in or around your rank, as these rookies move up quickly these days. You see St. Dido get the move pass this time on Slavin. Josh Fulton getting closer and closer to that point. This time they've already done the pit, so they've probably got a little bit of fresh tires, but definitely have the right amount of fuel, as they have a little bit of run-in with the wall. That one's definitely not our fault. Just a little bit of broadcast curse, but we didn't do anything, and that's what really matters. Race winner goes to Phantasm. I didn't even realize we were at the end here, so Josh is not going to be able to finish out an extra lap as he was lapped in the back there. Big Dean Energy is going to be one of the last couple of racers looking for a way through to try and make something happen. This time on Grandmaster Matt, as the total end of that race completely just slipped by us. I did not see that was happening there, as we've got a little bit of a run-in with Big Dean Energy and Kyles. Don't think it was anything deliberate, but that is going to let Grandmaster Matt get running and get through. We see these guys are flooding their way out of the server. They are not sticking around for the final standings. 45 minutes of these GT40s is brutal. And you can see that in the sense that these guys are all just trying to make their way around these final corners. Kyles and Big Dean Energy bringing it up the rear, but the real story tonight, Phantasm with an over 30-second lead on the entire rest of the grid. We've got our little real rookie dog pile going on, as is tradition, in the back burner here, and that is just some chaotic speed, some chaotic racing, and I'm pretty sure these guys will not be sad to see these cars go. But we'll be sad to see you go, as we look forward to joining you guys for the MX5 Mondays Week 9. The standings are updated with a new drop at this stage, so we'll show you